PrimeXPT is the most powerful trading platform offering immediate access to over 30 assets. Trade cryptocurrencies, forex, commodities, stock indices, and much more, all from a single Bitcoin settled account. Visit the link below and start trading on PrimeXPT in minutes.
Globe is a crypto derivatives exchange offering up to 100 times leverage on crypto and DeFi perpetual contracts with Bitcoin collateral. Sign up today at theburbnest.com/globe. YFDAI is democratizing finance by creating the most secure, transparent, and user-friendly ecosystem of DeFi products. To learn more, visit theburbnest.com/YFDAI. Bistro is a decentralized peer-to-peer food marketplace that makes ordering food more convenient and rewarding for both providers and customers. Learn more at theburbnest.com/bistro. CryptoCard bridges the gap between DeFi and e-commerce by allowing you to directly spend your crypto on countless real-world goods. Learn more at theburbnest.com/CryptoCard. Equinix is a NASDAQ-listed digital assets company offering crypto exchange, custody, asset management, borrowing and lending services, and more. Enhance your crypto wealth today at theburbnest.com/Equinix.
Okay, everybody. My name is Agent CryPTOBIRB, and I'm very, very happy to welcome you to today's monthly update with Radix, between me, CryPTOBIRB, and Radix. And today, as our special guest, just like the last time, we have the CEO Piers Ridyard. How is it going, Piers? How are you doing?
It's really good. It's going well. It's a good week this week.
Yeah, it's actually a very good week. Counting the weather in Poland, I can tell it's pretty good on my end, at least. I'm not sure about the weather in UK though.
Everyone is melting. I'm currently in Switzerland, which is not that much better, but like the UK is ridiculous right now.
Yeah. This is a global thing, I assume. Like a lot of windy days. A lot of hurricanes also coming out of nowhere. Just like it rarely ever happens in Poland.
You're looking very summery though with your like.
Am I?
Yeah.
That was the vibe. That's the vibe. That's what I love. Everybody, just kind of like to let you know again, I'm very happy to be joined by Piers, and today we're going to briefly bring you the freshest updates, the most up-to-date updates, news that everybody should be aware of with regards to Radix, especially with the Olympia Mainnet, and not only, right? So going right in. Very simple question, Piers. Like, what's new since we last spoke? What's new for Radix for the past 30 days?
So as you say, the Olympia mainnet is going live next week. It's going live on the 28th of July. We have we did this period of betanet testing, which was great. We had all of these like updates that we needed to put into it, and that went into something called StokeNet, which is now live already. And this is basically the what you would call like the persistent test net. So like on Ethereum, you've got Robson Net, right, which allows people to test things before they put them on Ethereum. StokeNet, named after Stoke-on-Trent, which is where Radix was first created, is now live. Mainnet goes live next week. Staking starts next week, which is like there's like now. I think current token price is like $40 million worth of staking rewards available per annum if you secure the network with staking. But also the other thing that's gone live, and it went live yesterday, was Instapass, which is this like we had this idea a while ago that compliance was probably going to come to DeFi in time, but that it should always be a choice. Like you are, as a DeFi developer, you've got a choice of going, right, I'm just going to go full like permissionless and it's going to be fully decentralized, and that's fine. But then there's this whole area of finance that isn't available to you. So like we've created this thing called Instapass, which allows people to essentially get a compliance stack for their project without having to build an entire compliance stack. So it's KYC, AML via Web3 interfaces that allows anyone to basically do one-click DeFi compliance as well. And I call this weaponizing compliance, because compliance is this area that people are really like, is really boring, and generally speaking, the technology sucks. And every single project at the moment has to build their own compliance stack. Like if you want to build Robinhood, one of the first things you build is a compliance stack. You want to build Monzo, the first thing you build is a compliance stack. And if we as DeFi want to actually like eat finance, this is a core piece of technology, but it takes it from being like two guys in their dorm room can create a finance product to, oh wow, now I have to go raise $5 million and convince a load of VCs to do that. And at Radix, we're like, we want to lower that barrier to entry again. We want anyone to be able to build any financial product on top of Radix and do it in a way that is as low a barrier to entry as possible while still working within the bounds of the law.
That is very right. It's actually very hard. I agree. Just like, kind of like what we discussed, the last time, bridging this masses, of this planet, bridging and letting them actually just again go through the DeFi, go reach the DeFi. It always comes via the compliance, right? And as long as the compliance is the main barrier, this is always going to be very hard. So I definitely appreciate not only what Radix is doing, but with the overall ecosystem, right? With the good fight, right. Approach for the unity. But speaking of Instapass, this is a fresh thing that just came in, right? It was what was that? It was yesterday that it just launched.
Yesterday, yesterday, and it's gone really well. Like absolute kudos, so much kudos to the Radix team who was responsible for building it. There was a lot of things that needed to go right for it to succeed because you're not in your own tech stack on your own. You're also integrating with a number of different suppliers to make all of this hang together and to create like a really user-friendly experience in the front of it whilst making all these things work. Like we're talking about traditional like problems of launching a tech company, but like I am genuinely really happy with how well it's gone and how good the first product is. And as I say, like this is not a requirement. You don't have to have Instapass to use Radix. But what we see this is this is how you bring mainstream into DeFi because if you try and do DeFi entirely without compliance, then there's lots of products that aren't possible to build because you will literally go to jail if you build them. But like that shouldn't be the choice. It shouldn't be the choice that you either build like completely anonymously or you only build a certain type of product and leave this whole like much bigger industry out. So this is why we build these kind of tools.
Yeah, and this Instapass, in general, because well, there had been so much work, in order to actually just release it, and it went live yesterday. But all of it is just, part of the, of course, bigger ecosystem, and this is mainly, again, just making it possible, for everything to work with the mainnet, with the Olympia mainnet. Right. So moving on to the Olympia mainnet, kind of like if you can give us a couple of points that we should be aware of, we can remember for everybody, who's just listening, that there was a plan to launch the mainnet sometime ago. It was just a couple of weeks. It's not this much extension over the time, but I can perfectly understand the reasons why it was moved. And on top of that, Radix actually reported for how important that was to put forward the quality over over the time pressure, let's say, to some extent, right? So releasing the product, which is, let's say, not perfect, which is not 100%, which is not 10 out of 10, but for example, like 9.5 out of 10, this actually brings the risk, right? And it brings the risk not only to the company itself, but it brings the risk to the users, to the investors, and to everybody who's concerned, to everybody who holds their stake in Radix.
It's a really interesting point. So like we were supposed to launch on the 28th of June, and we decided the 30th of June, and we decided to postpone for 4 weeks. And we didn't take this decision lightly because I really do believe in giving high integrity commitments, right? Like we say we're going to do something by a certain time, you're going to do it. But there's a certain inflection point where you're on your, when making a high integrity commitment starts to be a sacrificing user security or user experience, right? And so it goes from being making a high integrity commitment and sticking to it, to launching something when it's actually too early and causing a load of problems. And that you have to remember, at the end of the day, what you're building for is for the user. And even if the user is like every single day going, I want it now, I want it now, I want it now, if you deliver it before 75% of users go on the happy path, then you're going to cause problems. However, what I would say, and this is the really important counterpoint, because this is what so many entrepreneurs get wrong in the early days. It's what I got wrong in the early days when I was building companies, is don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. Like there's a great expression, which is, if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched it too late, right?
I love it.
and so like we didn't actually, like, what's really interesting about this particular launch is we didn't not launch the mainnet for any reason to do with the mainnet. Like, our consensus algorithm works great in testing, our staking security works great in testing, but all of the services that sat around it, so the APIs in how you run your nodes and how you interact with the ledger, the way in which you are able to move your EXRD to XRD, so for Ethereum tokens to mainnet tokens, things like being able to use a hardware wallet to hold your tokens, all of those things didn't feel like good user experiences. So we didn't not launch the mainnet because the mainnet wasn't ready. We didn't not launch the mainnet because every single interaction a user was going to have, therefore take an impression away about Radix, was going to be a suboptimal one. And so that extra 4 weeks was just about making sure that we had enough time to polish and bring something that we thought was pretty good. Not that it was 10 out of 10. Like, I don't want to say that Instapass didn't have problems. We got some bugs; they need fixing. And our Instabridge.
That's natural.
It's natural, and that's part of putting a product out. And you should always, like, if your product has no bugs, then you either don't have enough users or you've taken too long to launch. But fundamentally, this was the decision and how we reached it.
Yeah, that's very fair. And just like I love I'm actually going to put down and quote it so many times that if the first version of your product is perfect, then you launch it too late. I love it. But Instapass, Mainnet, Olympia, there is also very fresh report that I assume it came out today from what I saw.
Yeah, Radix report.
Yeah. So let's actually just get the very quick, just glance at the very report for everybody to see and to be aware. Okay, here we are. It actually came out literally today. Okay, 22nd of July.
Fresh off the press.
So if you could, like, for everybody who's watching, for everybody who's subscribed to our channel, kind of reminder for everybody to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy what Radix is doing, if you enjoy what Piers is sharing with you, because I truly do, and I wish I could subscribe twice, but I cannot. So Piers, if you were to kind of like just give us a very short sort of like a glimpse or takeaways out of the report, which is apparently prepared by yourself.
Yeah, and other members of the team as well. So the key takeaways is Radix has been in development for a very long time, but next week we actually deliver our first set of technology, and the first set of technology is on a path towards what we think is necessary to build the fundamental financial system of the world, like an open platform for finance to be able to transcend what it is at the moment, which is like a janky, horrible, old-fashioned, difficult to use, unprogrammatic system, right? And so in doing that, we take a very long-term view of all of the things that are necessary strategically for that to be true. The first thing is consensus and a public ledger, right? Consensus has to be solid, the public ledger has to be secure, and that's what we're delivering next week, is a public ledger that is fundamentally showing that our method of consensus, core method of consensus, our method of security are good. And this is the first step, right? And then alongside that, it's testing these early services where we have a strongly opinionated hypothesis about where this whole industry is going, about how we can take the, $100 trillion-dollar market of finance and bring it into decentralized finance. And that things like Instapass, but then Instabridge is launching as well soon. And Instabridge is a way of being able to bring any asset into the Radix ecosystem, starting with Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of this kind of stuff, but we'll branch out into many more assets beyond. And so if I wanted to take away one takeaway, two takeaways for your listeners is one, first key delivery of Radix tech after years of building. This is a huge milestone for us. And the second is, if you want to participate, the best way to do so is start stake to secure the network, because staking to secure the network is a great way of securing the network, but also like there are some great rewards that are available to people who actually do that, and I highly recommend it. It's a great starting point to get into the Radix ecosystem. It also tests things like our Radix wallet, our Radix hardware integrations, and all of these are important to make the product better so that we can reach the next level for the industry.
Yeah. On top of that, because I can only agree with what you just said. What I'm looking, at the strategy, strategic approach from Adam Simmons, right, head of strategy from Radix DLT. I always believe that it is extremely important for any company, just like, as a business owner, you have to surround yourself with the good people, with the right supporters, with the right community, right? I honestly have not seen any sort of just outbreaks of toxicity, which is so popular, right now, especially after the market decline, heavily, right? People are extremely salty, but it's so important for very professional, projects, companies, real companies who are here, these companies that are here for actually the long term, who realize their mission, their vision, with the help of the good people, right? And here I actually notice, also Nicholas Merton of Datadash, my truly good friend. He's such a great person, and I had the opportunity to meet him in Las Vegas a couple of years ago. Like, he's such a modest guy, and he does approach the projects like really thoroughly. So whenever there was
so thoroughly,
you can tell.
Oh my God! Like watching his video, I was just like, this guy actually went and read everything. And he's so calm and
he is
thoughtful in how he talks about stuff. He's so good. I love him.
He's just serious about it. He's really professional and serious. I love it. And that's what I'm saying, just having the right people nearby is exactly what a good project needs, right? So speaking of it, because again, just like you said, that we are already able to participate directly in the Radix ecosystem. That is out of question. With the mainnet, Olympia moved to 28th of July, which is right in, what is that, 6 days from now, right? And if we are, here is a treat for technical traders, okay, a very simple glimpse, and let's have a look at the chart from for EXRD for Radix. Okay, what I can tell you guys, and just know that I am no moon boy, I'm very serious, with regards to the approach for the market. What I can tell is that this is no sort of like a trend in here, right? And this no trend, it tells me that this is sort of like a sideways, and this sideways is marked by the extremes, right? The extreme high that defines the highs and extreme low that defines the lows. So all it tells me is that we are in this massive, large consolidation. And, just listening to what Piers is sharing with me today, I believe, that with this long-term approach, should it sustain, for over the longer period of time, and I'm sure it will, this just, reminds me of so many projects which were early back in 2017, 20, for the DeFi. And literally, the perspective, when you measure the perspective, when you approach it with the right perspective, all of a sudden, this large range becomes just a tiny thing, And if the fundamental value is there, if the market as the whole, with the Bitcoins, I should say support on side, allows, we could really expect, just purely on the technical analysis basis, some really decent upsides. Just for the technical range, you could expect the breakout, just measure of the measured movement equal pretty much like to the highs to the height of the entire range of the entire accumulation, which places us like with some crazy numbers, crazy values. So I'm actually a holder. I'm actually, a stakeholder, a shareholder, if you will, for Radix token. And that is what also comes interesting, always to my notice, that I want to be invested as a trader, and I'm speaking on behalf of other traders. We want to be invested in a project that really cares. We want to be invested in a project that really has their mission and vision in place and just realizes, milestone after milestone. Take it patiently, even if it comes, the market, the market slips, or or there is some sort of like a standby mode, from investors. This is the time to focus to build, and that's what Radix is doing. And I just love it for that.
Yeah, I think the thank you. I think that the approach we've always taken with tokens has always been very careful for lots of reasons. Like everything is like viewed in the historical perspective, and like over time. This is a wonderful quote from Stephen Fry about Oscar Wilde, which is like, being able to work out who's great in literature is a little bit like trying to work out what the tallest building in a city is when you're driving down the street. You can't really see it. It's only when you move away from the city and you look back at it can you see what towers above everything else, right? And there's a bunch of behaviors that feel rational when you're in the midst of like bull runs and things like that, and you just, hey, you should go out and make partnerships with anyone, even if they're completely, meaningless, even if they don't deliver any value. Or, hey, you should just pay to get people to develop on a platform, and you shouldn't really care if anything results on it. Like all of that short-term noise behavior ends up creating something that feels good in the short term, but is a little bit like fast food in the long term. It just makes you like bloated and uncomfortable. It doesn't actually, and it loses like credibility. Like what we're trying to do is fundamentally change the global financial system, right? Like that from a, and we believe that starts with decentralized finance, because decentralized finance is where the innovation is able to occur, where it's low enough barrier for anyone to come along and I've seen this innovation, I'm going to instantly do the next innovation, And that's what permissionlessness does. That's what decentralization does. And that is amazing, but it's going to mature. And as it matures, you will look back at what the behaviors of these companies were, and people will make decisions, like long-term builders will make decisions based on behaviors that they see in different communities and different environments. And if they see a certain behavior, like was typified by Tron, right? Tron, for a while, people are like, oh my God, this is an amazingly marketed project. It's going to do really well. They're spending money, like they're getting in users. But no one serious actually ended up there.
Yeah. And the truth is that money doesn't buy you the credibility for long term. The credibility for long term, for everybody who's listening, this comes mainly from the fundamental intrinsic values that Piers, has been talking about for the past 30 minutes. And what we can do, because this is a monthly catch-up. There is going to be another monthly catch-up in August. There is going to be another monthly catch-up in September. There's so much that we're going to be discussing. Well, we have already covered, the Instapass, which just came live, and we just went live. We just discussed the Olympia Mainnet for everybody, that you should be guys prepared. And in the form of a wrap-up, I want to invite everybody so that you guys make sure you follow Radix DLT on Twitter. You make sure you follow Piers Ridyard on Twitter, because that's where the action happens. That's where the real cryptocurrency industry is born, right? And with these words, ladies and gentlemen, we need to put a full stop in here. Piers Ridyard, the CEO of Radix DLT, has been mine and your guest. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for Piers, and let's stay in touch with Piers as we go and proceed. Thank you, Piers, for being here.
Thank you as always. It's been an absolute pleasure. Have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day as well. Thank you.